Hi, I'm Deborah Demare, and I'm going to give you a brief overview of what vegan design is all about. Whether you're an existing designer or new in the business, it's a wonderful specialty to add to your existing services. I've been designing now for nearly 20 years, and I became a cruelty-free slash vegan designer about 5, 6 years ago. My family and I have always loved animals. They're a very, very integral part of our life. Actually, my dog is right beneath my feet right now. And I'm also very involved with Farm Sanctuary, PETA, and many other animal rights organizations. And my family and I really, our life just revolves around animals. And I guess I just wasn't ready to make the connection between what I was offering my clients and my love of animals. I mean, I like to say that I believe that I'm not an idiot, but I guess I wasn't ready because I always say you have to be ready for change. Because once you see the dark side of what goes on in the industry, it's very hard to turn back. And I'm always getting videos that pass, on my feed constantly because I'm involved with so many different animal organizations. And I guess I was just ready that day. I guess the stars had aligned and I was just ready. And I opened a video about dog leather. Dog leather exists. Nearly 1 billion animals are killed yearly for the skins industry. China is the leading exporter of leather. And leather can really be anything. It can be dog, cat, seal, kangaroo, raccoon dogs. Anything with the skin is considered leather. And it's exported to this hide is exported to all over the world, to every country imaginable, and then it's sold as leather. But they're not specifying what kind of leather it is. But when I think about it now, what really is the difference between a hide of a cow or of a dog? It's a living, breathing, beautiful animal. But clearly, somehow, I think we all have a connection to dogs more than we do cows, most of us. So when I heard about dog leather and I saw the video, it affected me so deeply. And even when I talk about it now, it affects me so deeply. And that was the day that I said, I am no longer offering anything animal-based in my business. And that was a very knee-jerk reaction, and I do not recommend that at all to any designer, especially when just starting out, because it is a big change. I always say add it as a specialty in addition to your existing services. For me, I just did a 360. And it took a while because I had to now start sourcing very, very different kinds of materials and textiles and furniture for my clients. But it really was a turning point for me professionally and also personally. And it's changed my life dramatically I have a focus now and I have a purpose. And here I am speaking to you. And that just didn't happen. It happened because of the decision I made several years ago. So dog leather does exist, and 150 species go extinct every day. It's just a horrible, horrible industry. An interesting thing happened when I transitioned my business. I started getting emails from designers all over the world, and I mean all over the world. And I had no idea that I was making this little impact in the design world. And they started asking me about sources, what kind of fabrics, what kind of furniture, what to look for, what to ask. And we kept responding to all these emails. And finally we said, you know what, we need to create a course. So we created a course that teaches designers how to implement cruelty-free and vegan options into their services. But we then also created a website, which you see here, called vegandesign.org. It really became its own planet. And we have designers from every country, and they just connect and communicate with one another, and we're constantly teaching one another, and it's been terrific. And clearly I still have my regular design firm, Damari Design, and that is 100% cruelty-free and vegan, and I'm very, very proud of that. Here's my definition of what vegan design is. We focus on environments that promote good health and well-being while respecting and honoring animals, humanity, and the planet, because it's really all connected. Designed for residential, commercial, and hospitality with products that don't originate from any living creature, are not an animal byproduct, and not tested on animals. We do not use wool, fur, leather, silk, down, feathers, reptile skin, fish bones, or any other animal derived materials are welcome in our company. That is not vegan design. If you use anything made with an animal, it is not vegan design. Materials and fabrics that don't contain, harm, torture, or exploit any conscious living being. Vegan spaces, I always say, are free from tragedy and toxins. Is vegan design a fad or the future? Well, I think you can kind of compare it to 15 years ago when people started eating organic fruits and vegetables, and they were kind of looked at as, wow, look at those weirdos. You could not find an organic apple or tomato in any store 15 years ago. It was a rare object to find, a rare food to find, and it was super expensive. Today, they even sell organic fruits and vegetables in drugstores. So the world is changing. Slowly, the world is changing and understanding that health is very, very important, and vegan design and health are very, very much correlated. Wellness is the new luxury. There is a growing demand from consumers worldwide to put an end to animal testing, animal-derived products, and to create healthier alternatives to enhance our well-being. Jack Wah, who you might know is the founder of Alibaba, stated, "Today's consumer wants to be healthy and happy, no matter who they are. People are spending on a holistic approach to health and wellness that includes nearly every aspect of their life, even sleep." Look at all the big brands now that have gone fur-free. Gucci, Tom Ford, Chanel, Versace, and Coach. They're just a few of them. The global synthetic leather market is expected to reach $40.9 billion by 2027. Interior design is not next in line to support compassion. It is here and now, and it is exciting. We have to understand that the new luxury consumer is very different than it was 20 years ago. 20 years ago, everything was big and grand and dripping with jewels and just showing off money, huge homes. Now, wealthy consumers are seeking compassion, they're seeking conscious purchases, they're seeking ethical purchases, and they're seeking healthy purchases. So it's really done a change, and vegan design just fits so beautifully into this new mission of the new consumer. So let's go a bit deeper and just understand consumers globally. As you can see from this chart, 88% will be prompted to boycott a brand for irresponsible business actions. 87% purchased because a company advocated for an issue they cared about, or they donated to a charity. 81% tell their friends and family about a product that they purchased that they're so proud of, that it's ethical, that it's cruelty-free, that it's conscious, that it's socially responsible. 74% volunteer for a cause supported by a company they trust. These statistics did not exist 20 years ago. As we can see from Google Trends, just the word vegan has been trending and just going up. As you see, vegan and cruelty-free. Look at the chart. That's what people are searching. That's what they're finding. That's what they want. Look at the statistics of UK consumers. This is in 2019, 62% rise in vegans. 12 million UK consumers, 23% of the population say they will be vegetarian, vegan, or pescatarian by 2021, which is now. Incredible. The top 5 most environmentally damaging materials in the world are leather, silk, cotton, bast fibers, and wool. The textile industry is one of the most toxic industries worldwide. Over 8,000 chemicals are approved for use in fabrics. Chemicals within fabrics are linked to cancer, autism, kidney failure, hormone disruptors, infertility, decreased sperm count, mental impairment, behavioral issues, fetal malformations. I could literally spend 30 minutes going on with this list, but I just gave some of the top few. After 75 years at the bottom of the ocean, when they discovered the Titanic, one of the few items that were remaining intact were leather sofas. 75 years in the water and the leather was intact. That just shows you how many chemicals are saturated in leather. And those chemicals don't just disappear. They get absorbed by our body. I can't believe that years ago, I actually used to design kids' spaces, nurseries with leather beanbags and leather rockers. Insane. Almost 30% of a fabric's weight is from chemicals. So think about what you weigh and take 30% of that. That is what is contained in a fabric. These chemicals are then washed out into rivers, lakes, streams, and oceans, destroying wildlife, people, and the planet. In poor countries, these people bathe in the water. They bathe in the lakes. They bathe in the rivers. They fish. Leather is one of the most toxic pollutants in the world. It is more toxic than automobiles. The production of leather is more toxic than automobiles. The average tannery worker in India dies at the age of 55 from exposure to toxic chemicals. The animal materials industry is archaic. The process of turning a part of an animal into a usable material is long and inefficient. The production of leather can take up to 2 years and requires significant energy. It is outdated and not necessary. These chemicals, by the way, are killing not only humans and the planet, they're also killing the animals and the marine life within the planet. Orca whales are dying, the bees are dying, monarch butterflies. It affects everything and everyone. Approximately 250 harmful chemicals are included in the tanning process of leather. They include chromium, cobalt, cyanide, lead, mercury. Those are just names most of us know. Greenhouse gases. During the tanning process, toxic gases like ammonia, carcinogens, and other endless poisons called greenhouse gases are emitted into the air from the tanning process. I'm just going to read a couple things that we believe are much more pronounced in today's world due to greenhouse gases. We have ADHD has increased 400%. Male birth defects have doubled. Dementia in men have increased 300%. Asthma increased 60%. Autism 1,500%. Premature births 20%. Think about that. And how the animals suffer in this terrible archaic industry. Sheep. I am so sick of hearing the term responsible wool because that does not exist, and that was a wonderful term made up by really, really well-paid marketers. If you just Google responsible wool, and you can even go on my site or PETA or any other animal rights organization, you will see that it does not exist at all. Sheep are bred now to be very, very heavy, merino wool. They can't even walk, the fur is so thick. And the industry started realizing that what was happening was because they were breeding the sheep with such thick wool, maggots were going into the fur. And a lot of the sheep died. And hey, the sheep are numbers for these people and their money. Every sheep, every lamb is money. So they decided to do something called mulesing, which is barbaric and despicable. They basically just cut the skin out around the hind area of the sheep while they're fully conscious. And scar tissue develops. That way the sheep don't produce fur in that area where the maggots were embedding themselves. It's called fly strike. And that is what the responsible wool industry was doing. So please don't use wool. It also has an enormous amount of pesticides in it because, again, it's a living being. Just to give you some numbers, it takes about 12 ducks live plucked, many of them dying from the torture and the pain and the infection, for one standard pillow. One pillow, 12 ducks live plucked. 8 cows for one sofa. That really seems to hit a lot of people and have an effect on them. It takes 8 cows, the lives of 8 cows, to make one leather sofa. 5 sheep horrifically sheared, 3 times for an area rug. And as I said, mulesing does exist. 80 mink skins for the average throw. 100 rabbits for the average throw. So what things should you look for if you would like to start to consider vegan design for your clients? Certifications are key, very, very important. Seek products that are GOTS certified, GOTS. GOTS certified products forbid the use of harmful pesticides, toxic metals, and chlorine bleach. Now, GOTS certified also certifies animal-based products, but they do certify non-animal-based products. So for me, the best product in the world would be a GOTS certified organic cotton. It's perfect. It has no chemicals and it's non-animal based. Seek products that are fair trade certified. Fair trade is about better prices, decent working conditions, local sustainability, and fair terms for workers and farmers in developing countries. The working conditions are cleaner, they're less toxic for laborers, and surrounding marine and wildlife and villages is much healthier, less toxic. Our skin is like a sponge and absorbs all the toxins and chemicals around us. They just don't disappear. So look for vegan, GOTS, and fair trade certified materials. Those are 3 that you can start with. If you're just vegan and GOTS certified materials and products like paint and furniture are safer for all people, especially the fragile population, which includes infants, young children, and the elderly. Vegan and GOTS certified products attract less insects and they don't hold as much moisture because there's no feathers or bacteria. Remember, anything animal-based has a lot of bacteria. Vegan and GOTS certified products are ideal for those with allergies and sensory issues, such as the population of autism, because this population is typically very sensitive to smell and texture. So when you're using something that's non-animal based, it doesn't have that gamey smell and it might not have the prickly feathers that come through the pillow. Think of things like that. Vegan design and sensory design, it's really a marriage. You know, I realized that years ago I started designing spaces for the atypical population, children and adults in the spectrum of autism, ADHD, sensory issues. And I realized then that I was implementing vegan design without really knowing it, because I never would consider ever using an animal-based material for a child or adult with autism, for example, because they're so sensitive to smell and texture. And what we smell and what we feel, they typically, it's just exacerbated with them. So typically, vegan design is much gentler. It's less toxic than animal-based design because you don't need all those chemicals in order to preserve the material. Remember, a skin is just like our skin. When we get a cut and we get a scab, it comes off. So that's what, imagine leather if it wasn't treated with and inundated with tons of chemicals, it would just rot. It's rotting skin, it's rotting flesh, that's all it is. It's pretty disgusting when I say it like that, but that's the truth, that's what it is. So if you do have a niche or a specialty of designing for challenged populations, vegan design really is a wonderful way to go. Here's a case study I thought that I would show you guys because I think it's kind of interesting. And this was for a child with autism. This family has, this was a summer estate in the Northeast New York area. Very, very large summer estate, and one of their children is in the spectrum of autism. They have lots of pets. So of course, here's a couple things that I would always include when designing for someone with autism: soft lighting, softness, soft plush rugs, low seating so they feel anchored, and hanging chairs, which is just beautiful. It's very sensory, very calming. And of course, I used only vegan materials. There we go. Everything that we designed for this space was very durable, non-toxic, which vegan design and toxins, again, go hand in hand because it's cleaner. They're cleaner materials. So when we're designing for a child with autism or adult, as clean as possible. We don't want those chemicals around. Sustainability in vegan design. Vegan furniture and decor can be recycled as easily as animal-based furnishings. I get that question asked a lot. Since faux alternatives are non-animal based, they don't require the land needed to raise the animals, nor do they require tanning of the hides. So they're less toxic, they create less pollution, and prevent the destruction of land. Remember, it can take up to 2 years for one cow to become a leather couch. It's sad and awful, and it's taking up so much land, food, creating greenhouse gases. It's just, there's nothing positive about it at all. And of course, vegan design for me is wonderful energy. There is no blood or tragedy attached to the spaces. You know, so many times when I am designing a space for a client, many of them don't even know that I'm a vegan designer because it might be referral, for example. And they don't even go to my website, which is crazy to me, but they don't. And when we're done with the space, I'll let them know. I'll say, you know, by the way, nothing that we used in these spaces was animal derived, so there's no blood or tragedy attached to your space. It's just fabulous energy. Every one of them is like, oh my God, they think that's really amazing, because it is. Some vegan alternatives that you have, these are very popular GOTS certified fabrics, are Tencel, which is made from eucalyptus, bamboo, modal, cotton, linen, cork, hemp, sisal, rubber, canvas. Non-vegan materials clearly are wool, sheepskin, goatskin, leather, suede, fur, down feathers, silk, horn and tusks, beeswax, lanolin, latex, glue, and cowhide. And quite honestly, once we got our resources and we got our groove going, designing for our clients in a cruelty-free vegan fashion was very easy. You just need the sources. And we actually have a resource guide if that's something that interests you. But once you do find those materials and furniture and decor that are less toxic and that are durable and affordable and they're not harming the planet, it's easy. It's just like any other library you have. It did take us time to gather these resources and vendors, but once we did, it was easy. And because companies are now seeing the demand for less toxic, ethical materials and furniture, they're getting creative. A good example is cork. Once mostly used just for cork boards, it's now used for flooring and upholstery. I've actually used upholstered cork for chairs, which is very, very cool. And I always say once you start using non-animal based materials, I think it's kind of hard to go back because you see just how wonderful they are and what good energy they are. So how do you approach a client with a vegan alternative? I get asked this question all the time. There's many different ways, but here's a couple ways that I approach. Number one, unless they ask, I don't say, hey, they didn't ask. And I will just show them beautiful materials and furniture that are gorgeous, but I don't have to say that they're non-animal based. Now, if I have a client that says, I want a leather sofa, I want a wool rug, I say, okay. So I go and I get our sources and I find some really beautiful faux alternatives, vegan alternatives, and I bring the animal-based samples as well. And I show them and I let them make the decision. And I say, here's wool, smell it, smells like gamey. Here's a beautiful cotton, smell it, doesn't smell, it's soft. Let's pour some juice and stuff on it and let's see how we can clean the two of them. Same thing with leather. Real leather versus faux leather. Real leather scratches, it's a hide. It's porous. Pour something on it, it's gonna stain, not the faux. So I let the client make the decision. My approach has always been with vegan design, always, I'm not going to be aggressive. That's just not, I'm gonna allow the client to be educated. My job is to educate them. So they're gonna say, wow, you know what? I don't want something that's so toxic. A huge niche for this is also kid spaces and nurseries. We just came out with a great course for nursery and kid design, a vegan approach, because most parents want the best for their child or their baby. And if they knew that surrounding them in sheets, for example, that say, quote, organic, but yet they're printed in very toxic dyes, they're not going to want to choose that. So it's about educating the client, letting the client know, hey, we better use a really, really safe paint for your baby's nursery. We better use furniture that doesn't have toxins in it. We better stay away from silk. We better stay away from down. We better stay away from latex mattresses for your infant. So education is key. I always say once you have the power of education, it's amazing. It's just, you're strong, you're confident, and it's about you teaching the client. Educate them, and they will then approach you and say, hey, you're right, this is what we want to do. The future of materials is fascinating. There is a race worldwide now to find materials and textiles that are not harming the environment or people. And there's labs all over the world doing incredible things. You have pineapple strands being used now for pineapple leather. You have grape leaves being used for leather. You have aloe and cactus. You have man-made leather being made in factories in New Jersey. So it's incredible what's going on in the industry, and the future of materials really, I believe, is going to be non-animal based, and I hope. Thank you so much for hearing me out and allowing me to give you a little brief glimpse into the world of vegan design. I please encourage you to go to our site, vegandesign.org, and look into our Vegan Design 101 course and our new course, which is Vegan and Safe Babies and Kids Rooms, which we're so proud of. We have 5 experts. It's a terrific course. We also have a wonderful resource guide, and we have a terrific community. So we do hope that you join us. Thank you.